afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Plugged In with Seeff Properties. My name is Dabilo Mokobi. I'm your host for this afternoon. And with me, I have Akheel Jinabhai from Akheel, Jinabhai and Associates. He's the legal brain that we're going to be having a discussion with this afternoon, just to understand a few aspects of law in terms of property. Hi, Akheel.
Hi, how are you doing, Dabilo?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me here.
You're most welcome, and thank you for coming through. Like I was saying to you earlier, when they said you were going to do the interview, I said, no, I definitely want to be the host. So yeah. Here we are.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to start by talking about conveyancing. So conveyancing is our main topic of discussion for today. What I want to see if we can get into is just the distinction between lawyers and conveyancers, or lawyers and attorneys and conveyancers. If you could explain what a conveyancer is and what a conveyancer does, as opposed to just being a lawyer.
Okay. So the starting point is to understand what are conveyancing transactions. Conveyancing transactions are transactions that are stated under the Deeds Registry Act, where only an admitted conveyancer can lodge those transactions for registration with the Deeds Registry. So in order to get admitted, you require a law degree and to be admitted by the High Court of Botswana as a conveyancer. So, usually you'll find that when you see law firms around the country, you'll say, for example, my law firm, it's Akheel, Jinabhai and Associates. And under that, we will say attorneys, notaries, and conveyancers.
Right.
So each discipline requires a separate admission.
Right.
But you cannot be a conveyancer without being an attorney. Yes. So basically, a conveyancer is an attorney who's admitted to practice in the discipline of conveyancing.
Okay. So it's a specialization, so to speak.
Yeah.
And what is conveyancing in detail?
Conveyancing is basically look at the word conveyancing itself. It's to convey real rights with respect to immovable property and other, real rights with respect to immovable property through the land registration system that the Deeds Office has.
Right. So the conveyancer works hand in hand with the Deeds Registry in terms of registering property.
Yeah. So what happens is the conveyancer prepares all the necessary documents in compliance with the regulations, the Deeds Registry regulations that provides guidance in terms of the format, it provides guidance with respect to everything, the catchwords, the formats, the size of the font, what type of paper you should use.
Right.
So the conveyancer prepares all those documents for lodgement with the Deeds Registry. The conveyancer must appear before the Registrar of Deeds and get those documents registered. So, take for example, in other jurisdictions, like in South Africa, you actually you've got an attorney who does the preparation work and everything, and he passes it on to a conveyancer who actually goes to the Deeds Office in the morning. He appears before the registrar and they register transactions.
Right.
So we don't have that practice in Botswana. In Botswana, we lodge our transactions, and the appearing we do is when we go and follow up our transactions to see, how far they are.
Okay. And in the conveyancing process, kind of from when documents leave the conveyancer's office to arriving at the Deeds Registry to actually being registered, how long could that process take? How long is a client expected to wait?
So when I initially started conveyancing, the turnaround time was 7 days.
Right.
Yes. Now, unfortunately, due to, I think the volumes have increased, number one, and number two, the capacity. The process and the capacity has changed. So what used to take us 7 days started taking 14 days. Now, with the coming in of the amendment of the Transfer Duty Act, where transfer duty is now assessed by BRS, the average process would be about 7 to 10 days, if not longer, at BRS. And then once you get the BRS clearance, You lodge at the deeds office. Deeds office takes an average of about 14 days.
Okay.
So the entire process has been increased to about maybe 4 weeks to 5 weeks.
Right. Okay. Because I think some clients sometimes think, once the documents are done, once the sale agreement is done, then the lawyer can just quickly, and then the document can be transferred to the client very quickly.
Yeah.
But you're saying about 5 weeks.
Yeah, 5 weeks.
Okay.
And usually you'll usually find that when a sale starts, it's already taken its time to get the sale and then to get the loan approval. So by the time it reaches the conveyancer, the parties have already waited for a very long time. So now the conveyancer is always under pressure to get it done as soon as possible. So it's as much as people can say that it might be a standardized job or process, it's not. It requires a lot of effort and attention and a lot of follow-ups with the deeds office to ensure that the transaction is moving smoothly.
I'm glad you raised the issue of the loan approval, because in previous discussions we talked about the process. So when a client should actually start talking to a conveyancer, when should it be? We've said that they should look for pre-approval with the banks in terms of how much they qualify for, and then talk to an agent about looking for property. At what stage in that process should they then come to the conveyancer?
Look, it depends. My view is that it depends on how familiar the relevant parties are with the process. The sooner you get advice, the better. However, when you use experienced agents,
such as ourselves,
yes, such as Seeff Properties, the agents are so familiar and they've been through so many transactions where they've got the necessary experience to advise the parties on the sale. So usually, if my advice would be, if you don't have an experienced agent assisting you and you're doing a private deal, then rope in the attorney or conveyancer as soon as possible to assist you. Because what happens is, from my experience, what usually happens is that the parties will spend time structuring the deal. And when they do come and see an attorney, you'd find that what they have done is actually, maybe most of the time, it's incorrect, and then we have to restructure, and what they were trying to do in order to save time prolongs the process, because we have to redo everything for them.
I think at this point it's also important to note, you did say if you're dealing with an estate agent who knows what they're doing or who's experienced, I think it's also important to note that they need to be a registered estate agent.
Yes,
that's a discussion for another time, but I just wanted to throw it in there that it should actually be a registered estate agent that a client is looking to work with. Great. And then in terms of documentation for conveyancing, what's normally required?
It depends. So, in Botswana, you've got different land tenures. You've got state grant, freehold, you've got agricultural land, you've got tribal land, you've got leasehold, state grant. There's so many different types of land tenures. So it really depends on, firstly, what type of property you're dealing with. But basically, in terms of the standard documents that are required, it's if you're buying in your individual capacity, then it's your identity documents and your marital status and your marital regime. And if you're buying as an entity, then the incorporation, the entity's documents. So if it's a company, the certificate of incorporation, the shareholding documents, and all of that. So the main thing in relation to the conveyancing process is you must be able to identify the party that's purchasing, and also the nature or the capacity of the party that's purchasing, and as well as the citizenship of the party that's purchasing. Because citizenship has got a major role in Botswana with respect to the different types of land tenure and also with respect to the tax implications.
Exactly. That was something I was about to raise, is that citizenship, we're not going to delve deep into the different taxes, but there is an implication, as you're saying, if the person is a non-citizen, for example. Do you want to just touch on the tax implications there?
So on March 1st March 2020, the Transfer Duty Act was amended. There was always different treatment of a citizen and non-citizen.
Right.
However, as of 1st March 2020, there was a substantial change in relation to the transfer duty laws in Botswana. The two major changes were, number one, there was transfer duty was changed from 5% to 30% for non-citizens.
Right.
Number two, there was also the threshold for citizens, the threshold meaning the waiver, let me rather use the waiver that citizens would get, which was before 200,000 pula, it's now sitting at 1 million pula. That means that you don't pay if you're a citizen of Botswana, you don't pay any transfer duty on the first 1 million pula of the purchase price or open market value. Right. And whatever, if your purchase price or open market value is higher than 1 million pula, then you pay 5% of that. Right. So for the citizen, obviously that worked out. It really promoted and started pushing citizens to purchase property. Right. For non-citizens, the transfer duty costs are now extremely high, as the market sort of says it in terms of the experience that we've had since the Act has changed. The other major change was before there was no transfer duty on sale of shares. So a lot of people would do sale of shares in respect to a lot of property purchasing transactions. Right. Now there's a transfer duty on sale of shares. So yeah, those are basically the most major changes. Yeah.